What up, y'all? This is Nerd Lady, and you're watching Mikey's Untitled Music Show. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome to Mikey's Untitled Music Show. Today, go ahead and try and learn where the musical creativity and musical mind comes from of Nerd Lady. Say what's up, Nerd
What's up?
Lady.
What's
What's up?
up?
What's
What's
up?
up,
What's up?
y'all? What's up? What's up? What's up, Ladybugs, or whoever's watching? I don't know. Anybody.
Eh,
Yeah.
it's the whole world. The
Let's
whole
get
world.
it. Yeah. What's up, Boyd? All right.
What's up, world?
Yeah. Yeah. All
But yeah,
righty.
today Nerd Lady's gonna help me out. I'm gonna go ahead and interview. We're gonna talk about her music, talk about where she came from, how she gets her creativity,
Mm.
and we're gonna get right in it. Nerd Lady has your new single is Hibernation, Nerd Lady.
It is. Yeah. I'm actually. It's kind of funny. So, I pushed it for a while, and I'm gearing up to release a new one called Size 11. So that one comes
Okay.
out February 2nd, most likely. So that's what I'm trying to figure out the date right now, but I was thinking my birthday is probably the best day to release it. Like,
All
who
right.
doesn't want to really, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good
Yeah.
day for me. So yeah, Size 11 is the next one that's coming up. And yeah, Hibernation just dropped in January, not January, sorry, December, got pushed through January. So yeah, that's what it's called. So I always
Yeah.
have something to promote. So there's
No,
always something. Yeah.
I was gonna ask, like, you
Mhm.
have so much music
I
on
do.
Spotify.
Yeah,
You,
a
you, you
lot.
got you got you got a lot of music,
Yeah.
and this is going. When did you start? When did you start doing this?
Um, it's a good question. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of like, yeah, I think everybody wants to be a rapper at one point in their life. I just never left that stage. So I'm still there, if that makes sense. Um, Technically, like if you want to ask when I started writing, probably when I was like 12. First time I listened to Eminem made me want to become a rapper. But I think that I guess like more professionally or like actually releasing and putting my shit on Spotify and telling people about it, uh 2020. That was probably my first release. And it was meant to just be a gift to my sister. So I
Hmm.
wasn't supposed to start making music. It was more of like I have the song. It's a graduation gift for my sister. Um, but then it just kind of kept going, and I kept going back to the studio. I felt kind of like a drug addict. Kept running back. You know that high. I don't think
Yeah.
like you know how they say like when you try drugs for the first time, you never go back to that high. I feel like that's where it's at. Like I'm always chasing the high that I got the first time I was in the studio, and it felt magical. And I was like, holy shit, this is a professional mic, and it's a professional beat, and I'm like, just spinning. But yeah, since 2020 I've been making music, and I've been on and off. Mental health gets in the way and shit, life happens. But
Mhm.
yeah, that's where I'm at. So since 2020 technically. Yeah.
2020. You said you started
Yeah.
writing when you were 12. Is that
Yeah.
kind of like when you first started being creative with like any kind of music,
Yeah.
or did you start writing music, or would you just start
Hmm.
writing poems? Like how did you start get
It's
how
a
did
good
you know
question.
that you wanted to start writing in the first place?
Yeah.
Like,
It was funny. So it started as like it was kind of like poetry. So I've always been a good writer. And like in school and stuff, like I was a really good reader, which is it's kind of ironic because I come from a an immigrant home. So both my parents are immigrants, they're both native Spanish speakers, they're not good at English. But yeah, it kind of like the way I can describe it is like I heard a song by Eminem. It's called The Real Slim Shady. The I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real shady, right? And so I think it kind of fired me up to where like I wanted to be like him because Eminem's story is very unique, right? So like he used to get bullied and that's how he became a rapper and all of that. Like he got bullied, he went through a lot of trials and tribulations with his home life, like all sorts of shit happened to him. And he kind of like a rags to riches story where he kind of came out of that and
Mhm.
he turned his pain into profit, if that makes sense. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted to do. And so when I started writing, I would write kind of like parodies of songs that already existed. So like
Okay.
yeah, so the real Slim Shady, I had written something and I was trying to come up with a female version of Slim Shady, so I came up with Nerd Lady. And
Hmm.
so I'm Nerd
All
Lady, yes,
right.
I'm the real lady, all you other nerd ladies, and it just kind of went from there. Like
Okay, that's cool.
it
Yeah.
was meant to be like this clean, nerdy version of Slim Shady, but she's
Yeah.
a female, right? It's a girl.
Hmm.
And so that's kind of where it started. Uh, but yeah, I mean, the writing, it was like I would do like slam poetry in high school and things like that. And it all kind of started to connect. Like the more music I listened to, like when I started listening to Tupac, Nas, I started listening to like different rappers, Rhapsody, Nicki Minaj, all of them. It all kind of combined, and that's kind of where my writing comes from. It's just whatever's in my head or whatever pain I'm going through at that time. That's kind of what ends up in the song or the poem, whatever it is. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I used to write poetry as well. Like
Oh,
I was
lit.
a good
I
I was
fuck
a
with
good
that.
reader.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was a good reader. I was a good writer.
Hmm.
For sure, English class was always like,
It's the fun one. That's the fun
yeah,
class.
yeah,
Yeah.
that
That's
was
how you
like
know you're
easy
meant
for
to.
me.
Yeah.
You just chilling,
Yeah.
and then they tell you to write a piece, and you're like, all right, cool.
Let's do
Let me
it.
write
Fuck it.
this.
Yeah.
Let me write
Yeah.
this really quick, and then let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used to write poetry. I remember there was kind of like a little scam back in the day.
Really.
Like a little like on. It wasn't really. I don't know. It was a scam. It was some kind of scam.
Mm.
But they would send you. It was this website called poetry.com.
Okay.
So you would go on poetry.com
Hmm.
and you would like upload your poems there and shit.
Hmm.
And so after you would upload your poems, they would send you something in the mail saying, "Oh,
Hmm.
your poem has been picked to be in our book." You know what I'm saying?
Ah, published.
Like
Yeah.
like
Published.
but
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Published, like not
Yeah.
really published, like okay, you're invited to come to a big banquet where all of these people are
Yeah.
going to get together and blah blah
Yeah.
blah. I remember looking it up and it didn't exist. So I'm
I
like,
think,
wait, am I
yeah.
really a good writer or not, dude? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
That's it. Yeah. I
But
think that's the big writer dilemma is like, how do I get recognized? But then it's like, is it the right recognition? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
are they actually recognizing me or are they just, I don't know. Are they being nice? I guess it's
yeah,
like my dilemma. Yeah.
and I know I wanted everybody to read my writing, right?
I feel you. Yeah.
Like back
Yeah.
in high school, long time ago in high
Yeah.
school,
Same here. Yeah.
freaking the
It hurts. Yeah.
yeah, like that my teachers, or not my teachers, I was in
Hmm.
this program called Upward Bound,
Okay. Okay.
where it's for low income students, low income
Yeah.
families, and
Hmm.
they kind of they help you with college and shit like that.
That's
But
crazy.
I
Yeah.
remember they all had us in like a little room and they were like, okay, well, everybody, like, what do you want to do when you grow up, kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I said I want to be a writer, and everybody in the room kind of like,
The
what?
fuck? You're
Like
not
what?
supposed to be a writer.
A
Yeah.
writer? What are you talking about,
Yeah.
writer, dude? Like
Pick a real
writer?
job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not, you can't be a writer.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a fucking writer. I mean, it's still
Hmm.
one of my dreams. One of my dreams is to write a screenplay for a movie.
I feel you. Hey,
That's
same
what.
here. Yeah, I
Hey,
fuck with that. I fuck with that,
let's
man. Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do it,
Yeah.
dude. But yeah, like they were like, okay, well, haha, whatever, that's, and then so I remember the first writing assignment was like, okay, make your own writing assignment, or
Hmm.
make your own whatever. Oh no, it was um a character profile.
Oh,
And
okay.
so
Okay. Yeah.
there's this one dream I had when I was little, and there was like
Hmm.
this little like it's just a nightmare or whatever. So I pretty much wrote about that, and they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh shit, he is a writer,"
That's
kind
kind of
of thing.
good. Yeah.
Yeah.
They fucked with it. Yeah. Yeah.
But like I shared it, and I wanted other people to read it and shit. Like
Hmm.
when you first started writing, were you
Mm.
scared at first of like
Yeah.
showing anybody your writing, or because it's very personal,
It is.
especially
Yeah.
like if you're writing in a diary or something like that. But
Hmm.
did you start writing in a diary, or did you start writing kind of like just like pen and paper? Did you go on the like on your computer or anything
Computers.
like that?
Yeah. That's a good question. Yeah. So it started, it was like a diary setup. So I used to have a journal. I would write everything in. it was intimidating at first. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's probably what stopped me from releasing music for a while. And I still right now I'm sitting on a lot of music that I haven't released because it's intimidating to have that out there. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
The way I see it is when you're writing, that's almost a way of like communicating with your demons. You know what I mean? Like that's your inner thoughts, that's your inner world. And to be vulnerable and be able to put that out there is hard. And so when you listen to a lot of my early music, I hate saying that, right? Because that was never the goal. The goal was for that music to be the music, right?
Yeah.
But obviously I've grown as a person and things have happened in these past few years to where that's not everything. But yeah, like it was if you listen to it, you know, I have a song on there like it's like chicky nuggies, right? It's a very surface
Yeah.
level. I always like to put a nugget in there of what I'm actually feeling in my music. So if you listen to it, to give you an example, there's a song called Motherfucking Rapper. So that's actually my top song on Spotify. It
I love that
features
song.
yeah, it features my boy Big Zodia. He's awesome by the way. And we had made the song together. So it's, you know, the funny thing is Zodia doesn't cuss in his music. So when I sent him the song, I was like, the name of the song is Motherfucking Rapper. He's like, do I have to say that? I was like, nah, don't worry about it. I was like, no, it's all good, bro. You know, like you do you, right?
Yeah.
But it's just ironic because I didn't know that about him at the time. I didn't know that he wasn't a rapper that cusses. And so, I mean, the guy raps like Tech Nine. So I was like, fuck, you know, he'll be down with it. But in the
Mm.
song, it's kind of funny. There's a line in there um that talks about eating out someone's mom. So now at the time I was
Well,
straight and like everybody knew I was straight, right?
mm.
And then so it's funny because that song comes out and then I want to say maybe like a year and a half later I end up with my girlfriend. So it,
Mm.
you know, I end up coming out and everything,
Yeah.
you know, the whole thing happens. But it's like if you listen back, there were clues. Like I left breadcrumbs everywhere. You should have known by now. You know what I'm
Okay,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's even there's an album cover where when you look at the album cover, it has like a little peace sign. The peace sign is all the colors of the lesbian flag. So like it's just it's something that I like to do. But yeah, I mean it can be intimidating to put yourself out there. You know what I mean? Like at the time, the reason I left breadcrumbs was more because like I knew I had homophobic people in my life, people that I
Hmm.
cared about and respected, and you know, just because someone doesn't believe in that or doesn't
Yeah.
agree with it doesn't make them a bad person.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where we all have our own belief system. We were all born into this world with different point of views, different social statuses. So I've never been one to like dog on people for what they believe in.
Mm.
It is what it is, you know. And even as like a Christian, it's like you just don't judge, right? It's not your
Yeah.
place to judge others for what they may believe or lifestyles that they may live. But even with that being known, I was just still afraid to be vulnerable and afraid to put myself out there like that. But yeah, in the beginning when I had those diaries and shit, like it was just for me. I would, you know, when I wrote that song, the Slim Shady parody, that was mine. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
it was something I created for myself. And that's kind of the philosophy I use with my music is this music is for myself. When you're listening to this, you're listening to my journal entries. And I think that leaves it as like a there is no space to really criticize it when you look at it from that lens, right? Because
Hmm.
you hear a lot about rappers like for example Logic talks about how like he struggled with his mental health because people were picking his shit apart, you know, people were like comparing him to the greats, they were like this and this and this. But if you look at it from a lens of I'm not creating this for them, I'm creating this for me, um
Hmm.
it makes it a lot easier for you to like be able to put it out there without fear. um and I do want to go back real quick, sorry, because you just like unlocked a whole fucking memory in my brain.
Oh, hell yeah,
So,
let's get into
yeah.
it.
So that program that you were a part of, Upward, I was actually in a similar program called the Avid program here in Texas.
Oh yeah, I was
Um,
part of Avid, yeah.
yeah, advancing via individual determination.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's right.
So the crazy thing with that one, I had a teacher. Her name was or is, I mean, she's still alive, right? Or I hope she is. I don't keep
Yeah.
up with my teachers like that. But her name was Mrs. Wempy. And I remember she was actually the first one to it was a very similar story to what you have, where they ask you, well, what do you want to do? And
Hmm.
your first response is, well, I want to be a writer. She actually empowered the fuck out of me. Like
Hmm.
she was like, you're talented. She really made me believe in myself. And I genuinely believe had it not been for her, I wouldn't take writing seriously. And I think that's something that's another thing that I've struggled with, and I know people around me struggle with, is how do you see being a creator as a serious profession, right? Like we know now
Mm.
with social media, but at the time it was like the only real track to success in my head and my mindset was college. That was it. Go to
Yeah.
college. So when I inevitably failed out of college because my circumstances just were not meant for me to go to college, it made me feel like a failure. Like it made me feel like shit, I don't, like you don't belong. But the truth
Yeah.
is that's not the only track to success, right? And so there's ups and downs, right? like
Yeah.
like with Avid, she always wanted me to fit that the writing dream into like a college track. It's like, well, maybe you can get a degree in this and you can go and do this with your writing, but my writing doesn't fit in a box. So now
Yeah.
here I am, a rapper. So you know what I mean? And now here you are, a podcaster, right? So because
Yeah,
our dreams
exactly.
just don't fit on paper. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it's at. Yeah.
And I used to have another podcast with my buddies.
Okay.
And so our podcast was it was called Our Takes and Smokes Break. Sorry,
Mm.
Our Takes and Smoke Breaks. So it would pretty
Okay.
much be reviewing whatever. It went from something to something to something, right? And the
Yeah.
whole time I was like, or I have like when you're first starting something,
Hmm.
like when you're first trying to put yourself out there,
Yeah.
it's you're not really thinking about what do I like? You're thinking about, oh, what's the
Yeah.
content? You know what I mean? Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
what kind
What
of
do other
content do I
people
put
want?
out? Like, what are
Yeah.
people gonna want? Like,
Yeah.
what
I fuck
content
with
are
that.
people gonna want? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it wasn't working. Not that it wasn't working. We're actually getting like a little, like
Like
a
traction.
small following, like a
Yeah.
fraction of a
Okay.
following. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I ended up, and a reason why I started this podcast also is because
Hmm.
it's kind of like chasing it. I got an invitation
Hmm.
from that podcast. I don't know if you know what BattleBots is.
No. No, I don't,
So
unfortunately.
yeah,
No.
so
Yeah.
BattleBots was a show back in the day.
Hmm.
They it was pretty much what it says, BattleBots. It was robots, like it was like a small
Oh,
arena
yeah,
and
yeah,
robots
yeah.
battling and shit.
Okay. I know. Okay,
Okay.
I know what you're talking
Okay,
about
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. All right.
So they're still doing that,
Mm.
and they have a show in Vegas. And
Okay.
so I reached out to them and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" Like, "Hey, what's
Hi,
up?"
just
kind of
checking
thing.
in. Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
like, so I sent them an email. They said,
Hmm.
but they got back to me, and then I sent another one. They got back to me again,
Mm.
and I pretty much just told them, "Hey, like, help a little guy out." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I feel
I
you.
told them, "Hey, this is a long shot, but are we like, I'm just wondering if you have anything." They ended up giving us like a VIP freaking a VIP
Hmm. Like passes.
tour
Yeah.
and passes, and I was able to interview different not artists but different well, yeah, I guess they're artists in their field, but
Yeah.
different builders and engineers and shit like that, the people that are making the
Hmm.
robots. I
Yeah.
was like, fuck, this is awesome. I can't believe I fucking did this. You know what I mean? I can't
Yeah.
believe I got this. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I've been
you're just like
chasing
in
kind of that
disbelief.
high also. Like
Yeah,
that's like the
yeah.
first kind of like, I guess you would say, like podcast high that I've
Yeah.
gotten. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
That
feel you. I feel
like,
you.
oh shit, like they actually let me do this. Like that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
But one thing that I've learned also is all you got to do is ask, right?
Yeah.
All you got to do is
Asking you
ask.
shall receive. Yeah,
Asking you shall
definitely.
receive, exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but when you first started, like when you first started getting into it,
Hmm.
how did you make your own beats at first, or how did you get, because all of the beats that you have, you said
They're solid.
that, like they're
Yeah.
solid, bro. Yeah, like they're
Yeah.
solid. Like
Yeah.
they're good beats, they're bangers, and they
Hmm.
go so hand in hand with your writing
Hmm.
style.
Hmm.
I can see Eminem for sure. I can definitely see Eminem because
Hmm.
it's kind of like you have some silly songs like Colita de Rana.
Yeah.
Like, but
Yeah.
that's not super silly, right? It's like,
Yeah.
okay, like we
There's
know
seriousness
Sana
to it.
Sana. Yeah, exactly. We
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
Sana
Yeah.
Sana Colita de Rana. That's kind of
Yeah.
silly, like growing up in a Spanish
Mexican
home,
home. Yeah.
Mexican
Yeah.
home, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like whatever. But, you know, sana colita de rana. If they don't get you today, they'll catch you mañana, I think
Yeah.
is the
Yeah, yeah.
verse.
I feel
And
you.
but it's
Yeah.
like, okay, like oh
Hmm.
sana colita, and then you go, oh, okay, like
Yeah.
where did that kind of style come from? And also another question, I'm sorry, like who creates your beats for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. So the beats are not exclusive. So the way it started, like a lot of rappers, YouTube. So I listen to the beats on YouTube. The difference is I actually read contracts. So um, when you find a beat off YouTube that you really like, what you usually do is you go on BeatStars, you purchase the beat, you get a contract with it. If you read through the contract, it kind of tells you like what how royalties work. It gives you the name of the beat maker. You get their contact information. So there's this guy. His name is Spectrum. That's the name of the beat producer, and
Mm-hmm.
he's the one that a lot of my discography are beats from him. So that's basically how I got them. It's gotten to the point where like I've messaged him a couple times. He messages back, and I'm like, "Hey man, I have this dope idea." So like for example, there's a cipher that I worked on back in October. I had messaged him. I was like, "Hey man, I'm gonna have like three other rappers on this track. Is there any way that we could negotiate the percentages on like royalties?" He was like, "I got you. Like it's not a big deal." And so I'm one of those people when I find something that I really like, I stick with it, right? And so for example, my engineer. So the beats they come from Spectrum, and then most recently, Hibernation was actually a custom made beat from Jeffrey Dan, or sorry, 360. He goes by JD. His name's 360 Studios. And he actually found me. So he had been working out in Houston and he had messaged me like, "Hey, I like your style. I have a beat for you." And for those beats, those are specifically custom made. And Size 11 has one of the dopest ones we've made so far.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just kind of comes from like in a sense that you just people either they find me or I find them type shit. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If I fuck with your style and I can write to it, I go with that. I am opening my mind and my heart up a little bit to where I'm gonna start working with other producers because I'm a very picky person. But I want to like I don't want to work with someone if I've never seen their face or if I don't have some sort of relationship with them. Uh, but I think that it's starting to get to the point where I'm like, well, you got to be open if you want to make it big. You know what I mean? Like you got to be open to other artists and collabing with them. Um, so yeah, that's kind of where I get the beats from. But just to touch back on the actual like mix and the
Mm-hmm.
mastering, I have an exclusive guy named Hippie Low. Um, and I say exclusive because like I consider him like this is my engineer, right? Like if you ask me who's your engineer, it's Hippie Low. So Hippie's out here in Houston. He's actually in the Woodlands right now. And he runs a studio out of his home. When I first met him, he was with another studio. But that's definitely my engineer. Like that's, he's one of the best in the city. And he has this ear for music where like when he touches my voice, I know it's in safe hands. Does that make sense? So
Mm-hmm.
so it's really just collaborating. And kind of like what you said, asking you shall receive. It's kind of like you just kind of you're out here and it's like whatever you want, it's almost like you manifest it, right? So at the time when I found Hippie through that studio, it was like that's exactly what I needed for my sound at the time. And then touching back to that track you're talking about, I don't know where the fuck that comes from, man. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like it'll literally, I think it's just shit sitting in my subconscious. Like, I think just a lot of shit I've seen in my childhood and stuff. Like I just kind of shoved it back there. And every
Mm-hmm.
now and then I'll be writing and it comes back out and I'm like, oh, okay. Hey, I forgot about that. Or like, hey, I forgot that
Yeah.
happened. Um, yeah, but Colita de Rana is actually an interesting track. I made it with a girl. Her name's I Am Lopez. She's out here as well. And at the time it was more of like I just kind of hit her up and I was like, "Hey, do you want to be on this track?" And I had COVID. We met online. I showed her a really shitty demo on Audacity. She was like, "Let's do it." And that whole project was made through just reaching out to people. I just reach out, man, and I just what I do is like I'll usually come up with the chorus and it's just like I just listen to the beat and I'm like, "Okay, this sounds good on it." And I whatever comes you honestly whatever you hear on Spotify, that's probably the first draft, like writing wise. Like that.
Okay.
That's the first draft. Whatever first came out of my brain, I just stick with it, and I'll whip that beat. You know what I mean? I'll like I beat the beat up. You know how Lil Wayne says that I beat the beat up
Yeah.
so that it'll fit the theme that I have. But yeah, when I heard that song, it was like because the chorus on that song is like oofa oofa, y'all look like oompa loompas. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's
Yeah.
there's a little bell in the background that I heard, and when I first heard it, it reminded me of when the Oompa Loompas came out on Willy Wonka.
Mm.
So I just fit it. So that's really
Okay, no,
that's
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 awesome.
what happened, honestly. Um, yeah, so that's kind of what it is. Yeah.
But I
So
respect that. Like, it's that's kind of how, I mean, back in the day, like when I would write, also it was kind of like
mhm.
my rough drafts. Like I would give my rough draft to like everybody would pass out their rough drafts or whatever to like other
Yeah.
people. Yeah. My rough draft would
Yeah.
have like maybe like two markings on it or something like that, and
Yeah, it's just that's
you
just
know,
whatever you came up with.
but yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's just you, you know that like that's
Yeah.
just you. Coming back to what I kind of lost myself in a little earlier, you know what I'm
You're
saying?
good. You're good. Yeah.
Um, like making it for you, right? So like
Hmm.
what I was kind of trying to get with is that I stopped doing it. I stopped doing a podcast for
Hmm.
everybody else,
Yeah.
and I started doing a podcast of the thing that I want to do,
Yeah.
right?
Like for you. Yeah.
For
I
me,
feel
yeah.
you. I feel you.
It's
Yeah.
funny because my buddy was like he has great, he's my best friend. He has
Yeah.
great intentions. He just wants
Hmm.
to make me better and shit like that. And
Uh-huh.
he's like,
We
"Oh,
all
well,
have
like
those. Yeah.
yeah, like oh, you need this and like this production or whatever and like this and like, you're kind of like at this minute you're kind of like I'm like, "Yeah, but like thank you. I love you. I love you for all that, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
this is kind of like this is what it's gonna be,
It's
kind
your
of.
baby. Yeah. It's
Yeah,
your baby.
and
It's kind of like
yeah.
your kid. You're raising this kid. I don't need
Yeah,
input. Like
exactly.
that's my kid.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. I feel you.
And he's like, okay, well, yeah, you do you, boo, kind of thing, you know what I mean? But it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, like before it was like, I just want, I wonder what other people like. And now but I feel more attached to it now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you said, it's my baby and it's I guess it's us putting ourselves out there, right? It's us
Yeah.
putting ourselves out there.
Yeah.
But when did you start finally getting a confidence to like
Oh, good
to like
question.
to like just
Yeah.
say like, that's not what I want to do for everybody else. I'm just
Hmm.
gonna do this for me. Like, when did you
Yeah.
start getting that like, confidence in yourself?
So I think I'm still finding that, if I'm being honest with you.
Hmm.
I think it's all about being authentic, right? And so as far as being more authentic in my music, I think that whenever so this last track, Hibernation, I think that's probably the most raw I've been in a while. Actually, going well, I can go back further. I have a project, it's called Teddy Bear's Diary. And the project is I wrote it, it's weird. Like some of the tracks had been written like way back, like a while back. And
Mm.
then the other tracks, it was like written within that week and recorded within that week. So it was like bits and pieces of my pain all put together. Um, and so it's really more of like when I make music, I make music in a sense of like, is this something I would want to listen to? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
But not, is this something everyone else wants to listen to? And so
Yeah, something you would
um
want to listen to, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like my first few tracks that I wrote, it was actually like that. Like when I first started writing music, right? Um it's just it's more about just being authentic. You know what I mean? Just like this is me. This is what I have. And so with Hibernation, that's kind of what it was. Is that I think Hibernation is the first track where I blunt out, flat out say thoughts of suicide, right? That's
Hmm.
something because like oftentimes I find myself thinking, okay, well, my mom's gonna hear this, my nieces and my nephew might hear this, my girl might hear this, my friends are gonna hear this, and there's that fear of like I don't want them to hear this, or even if they do hear it, right? Let's
Yeah.
be honest. Sometimes our friends don't support our shit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
They,
not
you know what I
sometimes,
mean?
most of the
Yeah, a
time,
lot of the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
a lot
because
of the time. Yeah,
because to them, for us, for the dreamers, right? Like
yeah,
we don't see it as,
yeah.
oh, you know, that could be something, we see it as like, no, it's gonna happen,
Exactly.
it's
Yes,
gonna
yes.
happen.
Yeah, and it's crazy because oftentimes I'll have my friends they'll like send me jobs. Or like I'll be in a conversation with my sister and she'll casually bring it up. She'll be like, "Yeah, so like when are you going back to school?" And I'm just like, "Bruh, like I have a dream, you know what I mean? Let me dream,
Yeah.
god damn it."
Yeah.
But I mean, I get where the concern's coming from. Kind of like you said, a
Yeah.
lot of times they're well-meaning people. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it just kind of happened. Like I just like I think when I wrote Hibernation, I was at such a low point in my life that I was just like, we're all gonna die anyways. And I hate to admit this, but I feel like when you're suicidal, the the writing gets so much better. Like I'm gonna be honest with you, because it's almost like you're writing it from a lens of like, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Like, who
Yeah.
gives a fuck, honestly? And I think that that's another thing about being a dreamer is like you're always thinking about like how life is so short. You know what I mean? You're here one day, boom, you could be
Don't
gone the
got enough
next.
time.
Exactly. There's never enough time. So if you
Never
have a
enough.
dream, if you have a vision, if you have words that you want to get out there, get them out there because life is so fucking unpredictable. Literally, like tomorrow I could be dead type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like tomorrow it could all be over. I could have a fucking accident and my vocal cords are gone type shit. You know, like you
Yeah.
never know what's gonna happen in life. And the crazy thing is like people that aren't like us, right? Like people that go the doctor track, the teacher track,
Uh,
the people that are living normal lives, they in a sense have the same mentality, which is why they prepare for it, right? They have the retirements. They want to have a career, they want to have a reputation, set it up for their kids, a life insurance policy. And it's not to say that that's not, I mean, that's smart, you know what I mean? That's what you do. But when
yeah.
you're a dreamer, you don't see it that way. To you, it's like my craft is my life insurance policy. This
Yeah.
craft that I'm leaving behind, this is my baby. This is my life, my authenticity.
It's that
My
one. And
legacy.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And it's that,
yeah,
right? So
mm-hmm.
it's a lot, like I could say a lot of us dreamers, what we have is that we like we dream so that we
Mm-hmm.
can leave something behind, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's really
so
the end goal, right? For all of
yeah,
for a
yeah,
lot of
and
us.
and
Yeah,
like go
yeah,
with it. Like it's like I want to leave my stamp. Why? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know. Like I don't
yeah,
know why.
yeah,
For me, I don't know why I have this.
yeah.
Like I
That
always tell my
voice.
wife,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's like a
and like
voice. Yeah,
it's like no, you should be doing this. Why are
yeah,
you doing that? You know you don't want to do that.
yeah,
Like my wife. I love my wife. She's
yeah,
the best wife in the world, and but even her sometimes. And then,
yeah,
like you were talking about earlier, like you're kind of scared of what people, like your loved ones will hear, right?
yeah.
Like when you're coming up with a song, but pretty much same thing with me. Like in the first couple episodes, I didn't really speak well of, my not even speak well, but it's just we gave my brother and I gave our raw feelings and
Mm,
like in the interview, you know what I mean? And like what we
yeah,
felt. And then my
yeah,
mom was like, "Oh, I heard somebody or I heard your brother like he kind of like, ooh, you know what I mean?" I'm like, "Well,
yeah.
yeah, like
It's like,
that's
why are you putting our dirty laundry out there? Like, it's like,
yeah,
yeah,
exactly."
what's
But
happening? Yeah,
how I see that it's not dirty laundry, it's just
yeah.
experiences, right? It's
It's
experiences
your
that
truth. Yeah, it's your truth. It's your
exactly your
life.
truth, your
Yeah.
story, and like who cares what one
Hmm.
thing, you know, you're going back to, like having suicidal thoughts. Excuse me, that was me, you
Yeah.
know. I had to go see a therapist.
Yeah.
And for a long time I didn't want to I didn't want to like come to terms with it, right? I would always tell myself like, "No, you're just being a little bitch."
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? You're just being a little
Like
bitch. Like
invalidating yourself. Like, oh, well,
exactly.
how dare you? There's people starving out there. There's homeless people. Why are you trying to, you know what I mean? You ever do
Yeah,
that to yourself? And then it's like it explodes.
it
If you don't
ex
take care of that, it
it
pops. And then
explodes. It
yeah.
explodes.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And like at a certain point what kind of helped me, and this is kind of going towards like
Hmm.
I've had suicide impact my family.
Yeah. I feel
Definitely.
you.
Like
Hmm.
it's happened before. And just so, like it hurts a lot. Like there's something in your like chest, something in your stomach whenever you get that kind of like thought,
Hmm. Yeah.
and you know, but nothing really, nobody really knows what happens on the other end. But I could what I can tell, and if anybody, I guess this is kind of going off track a little bit also, but
No, I
this
feel
is
you. You're good. You're good.
kind of
Yeah.
something I wanted to share, but if you're going through something, guys, and like one of the biggest things that helped me, it might not help everybody, but one of the biggest things that helped me was learning the power of positivity,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, Shit's gonna happen. Shit that we can't control is gonna happen. You're
Hmm.
gonna get you're gonna get fired. You're gonna lose your money. Something's gonna
Yeah.
happen. You're gonna have to pay a big bill.
Get broken
Something's
up
gonna
with. Yeah.
happen. You're
Like
gonna
all
get
sorts of
broken up
shit.
with.
Yeah.
Everybody's gonna break
Yeah.
your heart,
Yeah.
but the biggest thing, like we can't really control what other
Hmm.
people do, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like one big thing is just realizing that you
Hmm.
can't control what somebody else is gonna do. You can only control what you're gonna do, right? And just the power of positivity is just kind of looking and saying it's gonna be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel
Like,
that.
it's gonna be okay. And what I started doing is I just started watching videos on Facebook,
Yeah.
videos on Instagram, motivational videos, just
Yeah.
positivity videos, right?
Kind of like rewiring your mindset. Kind of. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. It
And
helps. It really does
it
help.
helps.
Yeah.
It helps
Yeah.
to the
Yeah.
point where I that is my cure. That was my cure.
Yeah.
Thank you to all those people that make those videos, those
Yeah.
motivational videos. That really was my cure. And
Yeah.
positivity. Um, what's something that kind of helps you out when
Yeah.
you get like those thoughts and
It's a
shit
good
like that?
question. Yeah. So I always well, like I said, putting pen to paper is my biggest this is my biggest thing, like just getting it out there. Um and that's really why like I said, this last track was probably one of the most authentic ones, is because like I'm not scared of saying the word as much as I used to be, and just kind of putting it out there like, hey, this is what I'm feeling. This
Mhm.
is where I'm at. Um, you know, I think that another thing is just kind of like it's kind of like realizing like you have a purpose. You know what I mean? Like the whole getting fired, like last year is probably one of the roughest years of my life. I got fired from my job. Subsequently, there was this big fallout in my family. I don't want to get into too many details on it, but
Oh,
it's just
yeah.
some fuck shit happened. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's still right now happening, but it's just my mindset has changed around it.
Mhm.
Um, and so I think what helps is just kind of reminding yourself that you have a purpose, right? Nothing happens on accident. Like you were born into this life for a reason. There is a reason that you are here right now. There's a reason you're going to be wherever you are tomorrow, where you were yesterday. All of this happens for a reason. It's almost like character growth, right? And so I think that it just kind of helps to like, well, therapy obviously, but that's my number one suggestion to anybody going through anything. Therapy, always go to therapy, um nothing
Always
like
go to
professional help. Yeah.
Always good to go to therapy, professional
Yeah.
help. But
Yeah.
you know who's trying to help you and who's not trying to help you, right?
Yeah.
So if they're just trying to pump you with a
Medicate
bunch of
you.
pills
Yeah,
and
yeah, if
medicate
they're
you,
medicating you, that's not it, man. That's
that's
not
not it.
it.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Yeah, you got to talk about it.
You need to
Yeah.
find somebody that you can actually speak with, or you could
Yeah.
actually like
Yeah.
talk to.
Definitely. Yeah. 100%. I agree with you on that one. I think that people are always looking for a quick fix.
Yeah.
There's no quick fix. You know what I mean? If you're 20, and this is something my therapist told me, like when I first went to therapy, with the specific one that I went to that's changed my life. Um, I remember the first thing she told me was, it took you 24 years to get here,
Mm.
who you are right now. It took you
Mhm.
24 years. You're not going to do it in 2 weeks. You know what I mean? You're not going
Yeah.
to do all of that in 2 weeks, right? Because for a person to get to that point in their life, it takes a lot. You know what I mean? It's a very serious thing. For you to one day wake up, no one just wakes up out of nowhere and just says, hey, I don't want to be alive anymore. That's not how that works, right?
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
comes with years, maybe even months, right? But it comes with years of like, just things that happen in your life, right? Things that you repress, not being vulnerable with yourself or with others. It's just, it kind of one day just kind of pops out. And so, But yeah, for me, honestly, therapy has always been the biggest help. I'm not a stranger to the hotline. I'm not afraid to call it, you know. Um, I think the first time I ever reached out to a hotline, I was like 15, I think, and it was crazy. I didn't want my mom to know, so I had texted a hotline from my room. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I texted. I found the hotline on Google. It said texted this person, talk me through some breathing exercises. Um, and it was like I was just going through so much guilt. And now 10 years later, the big event that happened in my life this year that has kind of caused me to go into depression was related to the same thing that was happening 10 years ago. So
Mhm.
it's like I said, just go to therapy, get it out there. And for me, artistically speaking, it's always been about just writing it out. And I always feel so much better once it's out. You know what I mean? When it's in there,
Yeah.
it's a menace. It's fucking with you. It's like beating you up. But it's almost like, and it, not to be gross, but it's almost like word vomit. You know what I mean? Like you just what,
Mhm.
you just
Yeah.
get it out as soon as
Yeah.
possible, and then you look at it, and then it's not as big as you thought it was. Sometimes, you know what I mean? You read over it, and you're like, the fuck, you know, like is this really what's going on in my head? You know,
Mhm.
um, even with like people that get broken up with, and it's like it's the end of the world. There's other people. You'll find
There's other
someone
people.
else. You're an
There's
amazing person.
7 billion other people on this
7 billion other people. Yeah. Like
earth.
look within yourself.
Yeah.
There's someone for you out there. This person just
Mhm.
wasn't meant for it.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of where I'm at right now. It was just wasn't meant to happen. Wasn't meant to be. So yeah. We went
One of
way
the
off
last.
track on that one. It turned into
I,
a whole mental health
hey,
podcast. Like, hey,
I honestly
Mikey does
like
everything. Yeah.
we we need it. You know what I mean? Mental
Yeah.
health. That's something that's real. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It
Like
is. Yeah.
it's not like I just get over it, pussy kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I
I
mean?
feel you.
Like
Yeah.
it's not that. It's really not. Like, and until you actually try and go look, first thing you have to do,
Hmm.
you have to realize that fuck yeah, I am sad.
Yeah.
I'm fucking like I'm
Oh
sad.
yeah. Naming
You
it.
know what
Name
I
that
mean? Like
fucking emotion. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Name it.
But
Yeah.
and then you have to just try try little things here and there. You know what I mean? Try
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
things here and there. We did go a little bit off topic, but it is an important conversation to have,
You're
and
good. You're good. Yeah.
important for yeah, important for other people to kind of see also, like two people
Hmm.
that have gone through it, that we're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
We're
We're
we're not
here.
good. We're not all
Yeah.
good, you know what I mean? But we're
Yeah.
here exactly
We're
like you said.
fighting. We're fighting for sure. Yeah.
Um, what is Nerd Lady's message to the world?
Oh, damn. Everybody always asks me this, man. I never have one. Go listen to the music, honestly. Like, there's I'm kidding. Um, it's weird. It's like I don't it you ever feel like you're not in a place to give it yet? Like you're just not there yet. You know what I'm saying? Like I want
Yes.
to. But then I think about like for example, like what we were just talking about with like being vulnerable and things like that. Um, one of the things that got me through most of school, uh, growing up and just like bullying and things like that was Eminem, right?
Hmm.
Had Eminem not had the balls to come out and say, "Hey, this is what happened to me," in his music, I would have never heard it. You know what I mean? The man, in a sense, possibly saved lives. You know what I mean? Just by putting himself out there. And
Yeah.
so I guess my big message is just be yourself. You know what I mean? Just put it out there. Don't be afraid to put it out there. There's, again, 7 billion people, like you were saying, 7 billion people in the world. We are on literally on a fucking floating rock that could explode at any moment.
Any.
Don't hesitate. You know what I mean? At
Mhm.
any moment, like that, don't hesitate. Just put it out there. Live your life, go after that person that you've been wanting to go after. You know what I mean? Fucking take the risk. It is what it is. Again, be smart about it, right? Don't say, oh, I'm gonna die tomorrow. Let me just fucking like down a dozen cookies and fucking, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Do some heroin. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, but just go for it. If you have a dream, go for it because like this whole life where like you just this mundane routine day-to-day shit, it's not, if that's not for you, it's not for you. So just go for it. That's the best. That's the best one I got so far. I hope that gave
Yeah.
you what it was. But yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, it's a good message. If you have a, if it's not even about having a dream either. It's like if
Yeah.
you have something that you want,
Yeah.
you have to go get it. One of the big things, big quotes in my or like one of the things they tell you is,
Hmm.
you can be anything you want.
Yeah.
You can be anything you want. You can be
And it's
anything you want.
true, yeah. And it's funny because like sometimes we think about it as corny, like to hear stuff like that,
Yeah,
right? Like you were saying, like the whole like positivity sometimes could be seen as corny, right? Like,
yeah,
oh, it gets better, or even like Bible quotes. Sometimes I'll read a Bible quote and I'm like, man, that's corny, But then it's like it was written for a reason. The word is there for a reason. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
But
you're right.
you have
Yeah,
to you have to work for it though, right?
exactly.
You have to actually go
Yeah,
through the steps. You have
yeah.
to be okay with putting yourself out there. You have to be or not even
Hmm.
just putting yourself out there, but you have to be okay with even not getting the result that you want. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Day
yeah. And
in,
that's another
day
thing.
out,
Yeah,
week
like
in,
prepare
week
for it.
out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Prepare.
yeah,
Yeah. Another thing is prepare for the worst, hope for the best kind of thing.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like be
yeah,
prepared. Um, but thank you so much. Really
yeah. I
appreciate that.
appreciate you, man. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you, thank you.
Um,
Alrighty.
but yeah. So, Nerd Lady, where
Mhm.
can we find your music?
Oh, definitely. So on all music streaming platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Deezer. This is kind of fun. I think this is the first interview where I think the mask kind of came off. And I want to tell you that because I feel like you need to know that. Like this is probably one of the first interviews where my mask has completely come off, where I was
Oh,
able to be
awesome.
vulnerable. So you're good at that, man. I'm not gonna lie. Very,
Thank you.
very good interviewer. But yeah, sorry. So for my music, Apple Music, Spotify, Deezer, all streaming platforms, literally type in Nerd Lady, you'll find it. I'm the only nerd lady out there right now. The day I find a copycat will be the day I made it. Like I swear, like the day I see a Nerd Lady
Hey,
2.0 come out or something, that's the day I fucking made it. But yeah, all streaming platforms. You can also, go on my Instagram. If anybody wants to hit me up for collabs, things like that, I'm always open. Uh and yeah, that's where I'm at.
all right.
Find me out here. Yeah, chilling with a cat.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Okay.
Well, thank you so much, Nerd Lady,
Mhm.
for joining Mikey's Untitled Music Show. I really appreciate this. Really appreciate you
Appreciate
giving me
you.
the chance and
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
this conversation with me. Um, I'm glad whenever I see somebody hit that over 1,000
Yeah.
on Spotify, I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like, how did I
Yeah.
bet that feels good, right? Like,
It does. Yeah.
it's not less
Yeah.
than 1,000 anymore, right? It's like it's
Yeah.
more
It
and
came
shit,
out of nowhere
So
too. I was like, oh shit.
that's
Let's get it.
awesome.
Let's get it. It's starting. Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. Yeah. But definitely keep in touch, man. I'm definitely, I'll keep tuning in and whatnot and, see where we go from there, dream
Yeah.
chasers out here. And then that
Yeah.
screenplay, who knows, one
That's right.
day, right? Yeah.
One day.
Okay.
That's right. That's
All
right.
righty.
One day.
All
But
righty. Well, I appreciate you. Mhm.
thank you so much, everybody. Be safe. Be great. We share because we care. All
Oh,
right.
yeah. All
We'll
righty.
see you on the next one. All right.
All right. Bye bye.
Peace.
Mhm.